Hello there, welcome back. In this video, we will be discussing about some of the concepts and basic things in Vue.js 3, and we will be mainly focusing on composition API. And we will also look into Vue-Router, see how page navigations are happening, and we will set up some basic components, and we will also see how we can change from one page to another. Even though this is only going to be focusing on Vue.js, I assume that you are coming from a completely different background. You have some programming knowledge, maybe in JavaScript, Python, or C Sharp, whatever it is, but you have zero idea about web development. So I'm just going to assume like that. So this video will be something like this. Before we directly jump into Vue, I will give some basic introduction or idea about HTML, and then some basic idea about CSS. Once these two are done, then we will finally jump into Vue.js. So the whole video will be split into different chapters. In case you are comfortable with HTML and then about CSS, how the project structures are all there, you can directly jump into the Vue.js component, or you can directly jump into the Vue-Router, which will be the last part of this video. Whichever you are comfortable, you can jump there and you can start learning them. But I will start from scratch. I will explain about HTML and then about CSS, and then move into Vue components, and then how some basic composition API is working, and then finally to Vue-Router. Now that this video is about introduction, this is not going to go in depth into all the composition APIs. I repeat again, we are not going to discuss all the items or all the methods, functions available in composition. We are going to see very basic thing like on binding to the functions, how the template itself is set up, how the properties are defined, how we are modifying the elements using the ref keyword. Only very basic things. Even the for each components, the conditional rendering, loop rendering, nothing is discussed in this video. We will do a separate video for that, but this is for someone who wants to know what is all about the Vue.js Vue 3 with the composition API. So that said, let's jump right away. So we will start with Vite. The thing about most of the JavaScript frameworks are that they are frequently evolving, and many new features are being added frequently. So whatever we are seeing in this video today may be outdated by several versions next month, or maybe after a couple of months. So what I suggest is whenever you are going to do something, always look into the latest documentation from whichever framework that you're going to use. In our video, this video, we will be looking at Vue.js 3 using Vite, and I will use Pinia for stores, and we will also use Vue-Router for routing to different pages. So first thing, Vite. Let's start from here. And you want to know how the documentation is, always go to the guide and getting started. So this is where we go. So create Vite. So this one will create the Vite, and you need to give a file name in case you are going to have a file name. Let's start with going to a folder. I will open up the same tutorials folder here. You have the shortcut key, press your control and the tilde symbol to open up the terminal. If you are not able to see that, go to View, and this is the one control terminal. Let's say change directory to this, and now we have changed the directory. And once we have changed the directory, let's say npm create Vite. npm create Vite at latest. I can copy this, create Vite at latest with the file name, and let's say this name as view, that's Vue is pronounced as view, like a front view, back view, top view. Yeah, view, VIEW. Vue 3 demo. Okay, so it's saying that Okay to proceed. Yes, you press enter, and then package name is Vue 3 demo. And what do you want? Do you want to create a vanilla framework JavaScript or Vue or React? I press my down button to choose Vue, and you can use this Vite to create Svelte, React, any kind of other project. So let's start with Vue, and we are going to look into TypeScript. And there we go. So we have now created the project. Where the good thing about all the latest frameworks is that they already come with all the instructions that you need to do. Like it's like they hold your hand and walk you through it. So you need to change to the folder. We created a folder before, and then you need to install the node modules and you need to run. First, let us change to the folder Vue 3 demo. What I did, I just put change directory, and then I typed a few letters and pressed tab. Tab button will give me the folders. If you don't want to press tab, you just press control and space. It gives both the same. And now at this location, if I go here and open, I don't have any folder open yet. I want to code in this folder, and at the same time look into all the projects files available here. To do that, I am going to say code space data, which means that code in this location. When I do this and give enter, it will open up a new Visual Studio window, Visual Studio Code window. Let's do that. And this one is just asking me like there are several files. Do you trust this folder? Of course, I trust this folder. And let us minimize the older one. Let's take up tab. This is the first time I'm using Vue.js. So it obviously is going to ask me different extensions that are available. It does install all the basic extensions. We need to have snippets. The most important thing is if you have the language features, you will have all the intelligence features available now. Let us have this, and I will do one more thing. I will just check for Vue and see if we can install some other items. Syntax is there, highlight is there, syntax highlight. Don't need a snippets. Let us install Vue snippets, and it's totally up to you whether you want it or not. Okay, I think this is fine. We don't need any more. These things are okay. Now let us go to the folder. If we go to the folder here, okay, so this is my folder, and it contains src folder, public folder, assets, components. Now there is one more thing. If you want to enhance the way how your Visual Studio Code looks, you can go here, and then you can go to file icon theme. The default one is city. If you want to install other items, you search for something. Let me install material theme and VS Code icons. What happens when you go back? Now you can see the folder icons, and you can see different icons associated with your folders. So this is maybe useful to visually differentiate between the folders, different files with all those icons before. Anyhow, this is not mandatory. This still it's your choice. Before we begin anything, I'm going to reveal this folder and then see how it looks. Right click on any file. Reveal in folder, reveal in file explorer. So it opens up my Windows Explorer to show me what are present inside. So this is our file, Vue 3 demo, and inside which we have some source files, some public files. So these are basically the static images that you'll be placing here, and many files are here. These are all created by default when you use the Vite command. But there is one important thing. For all the applications to, like the Vue.js applications to run, you need the Node.js packages, Node modules, which are nothing but if you are using Visual Studio or like C Sharp, ASP.NET, different one. These are all just the packages developed by external parties or other developers, which you can make use of in your application. So Vue itself is a node module. So without that package, you will not be able to run your application. So to this application to be run perfectly, you need that node module. So this is already explained to us in here. After you change to the directory, you need to install the npm, which is the node modules, and then you can start running them. Before I install, I am just going to quickly walk you through different folders which are present here. Let us start from this bottom. First and foremost thing is you need to look into is packages.json. So this gives you the dependencies that are related to this project. If you are using any external libraries, external NuGet package like a 3JS model viewer or whatever it is, everything will be mentioned here. So first thing, let us go here and see. So our file name is Vue3 demo, and we have some versions. Okay, and if you could see, there are three scripts here. One is dev development, another is build, another is preview. What it does is, when you press npm run and then followed by this dev development, this does this particular it just calls this or executes this whatever function or operation that is followed by that. So we have development mode, we have build, and then we have the preview. And there are dependencies with external packages. For instance, this application itself is dependent on a Vue version 3.2.4 and above. And other dependencies are TypeScript and Vite. So you could see, like, in case you are going to install something, obviously we are going to install Router, we are going to install Pinya, so everything will come up here. When you are going to press type npm install, all the packages whichever is required along with the basic npm node modules will be installed in your application. This is time consuming. It will take some time based upon your sometimes based upon where you are using it. For instance, in my office, we are behind a proxy. So if you are using it behind a proxy, sometimes it doesn't work. So you need to ensure that either your Visual Studio Core or your npm has access via the proxy. You need to set up the proxy. You can just do some basic Google search to see whether in case you are not able to install them. So currently I assume that you have access and you are not behind a proxy. npm install. If you are behind a proxy, you will be stuck here. It will just show ideal tree, build depths, and then it will not go anywhere, and you will say that there is some error with the connection or something. Okay, there we go. We have done it. So once this is done, we don't have any vulnerabilities, which means sometimes when you are going to use old package, like you downloaded some template from the internet, most of the times what happens is some of the packages are outdated, and out of the dependencies, some are updated, some are outdated. So you will have like different versions and you will have vulnerabilities. So at those points you will have instructions on what to do. Most of the time you have to just audit and fix them, but currently, since we are doing it from scratch, we don't have any issues here. Let us go ahead and follow what we need to do as a first step without doing anything. We could now see that we have the node modules folders available here. If I go into this folder, the command actually created this node modules and installed whatever is required. These are the bare minimum required. And in case you are going to install something new, it will get added to the dependencies. Like when we are going to install a Vue-Router and Pinya, so they will get added here, and they will also be created into the folder. Now the good thing is you can also open the node modules and directly look into the source code, the JavaScript files as well from here. Like I can open up some files, I can see what it's doing, and I can do all those kind of things. Now we are not going into that. Let's start with npm run development. So that's what is mentioned here, right? So npm run there. Let's put, there you go. So we have got this one in now 5173 port, and I will press Control plus click. It should open the app in another location. So there we go. This is a Vite plus Vue application, which is a basic counter, and that looks fine now. So we have managed to initiate the Vue.Js basic project. Now this is okay. So what you need to do when you need to close this, you can press this delete. So it will kill the terminal, and your host or port is also now released. In case you wish to open up this one, like when you press npm run dev, it obviously opens up only in the default 5173 port. In case you want to open up in a specific port, all you need to do is follow up npm run dev, and remember, pay attention here. You need to first give two hyphens and then space, another two hyphens and port. Then you enter your port number. Let's say in my case 8345 something. Press enter. You will be able to open up in 8345. Now you might be asking why I need 83 double port here. Like I cannot just like that go and say port 8345. It will not work. It will directly go into the default 5173. So in case you want to use your own port, remember npm run dev first double hyphen and then another double hyphen port. You can't use p as well, like you need to go port 8345 or like 9000 8999. I can press and open up this, and it opened up in another window, and I can directly see it here. So now it is running in 89999. Okay, so this is what we need, and we can close it. So far this looks fine. We have now managed to set up that, and we also know how to change the port. That's okay. Next step is to see the other files. We're not going to look into what it does now. We are also not going to look into what this does. All you need to know is, first thing is you need to understand how the package works. And the next most important thing is your Index.js, Index.html. This is your entry point, and your Vue application itself, whatever we are going to discuss later internally, is going to be mounted on top of your index.html. In the index.html, not to confuse, but just to give you a small hint of what we are going to see. You see there is a division here with id called as app. Oh my god, so this app id is consumed, or like like this is fetched, and our Vue application itself is mounted or added to this body here. You can see that in App.Vue, we are not in App.Vue, the Main.js, we are mounting it on top of an element with this hash means that it denotes the id. We are mounting it on top of an element, HTML element, with this id called app. So that's what's happening here. So first step, let's try to make some modifications to see if we are viewing those changes here. At the same time, I will also keep this one open. Okay, what do we have here? Like whatever you see inside, I have already said that the app will be mounted on top of the division element or the section element with the id app. So whatever is outside is not controlled. I repeat again, whatever is inside this id app is the one that is controlled by the VueJs. Whatever is outside is not maintained or controlled by VueJs. So if you add something here, it will be completely outside or separate. Let me show you an example. Let's say if I put one more division here with saying like hello. and the moment I press save, it will automatically be updated here. I think I should be seeing it on top left. Let's do save. It is there, it is here. See, the reason is both of them are present inside the same body. Maybe the HTML CSS has a flexbox, or maybe something else. Let's see. Okay, it has a flexbox. So those are a couple of other things that we need to look into later. But currently, we see that we have some value called hello here. In case I add hello world, press save, it is added here. But this is okay. Like, we are not going to look at present. We are not looking into how we are going to organize these things. We look into that later when we are doing developing the application. So let me remove it. Save again. It should be gone. So the key thing that I want to explain here is only this ID where you have the app is the section or the division where your view is mounted, or the children where Vue is controlling your application, because that is specified in your main.js. So in case if you are using JavaScript, it will be main.javascript. Okay, so that's it. The next thing is we want to look into, if I minimize the source. So this is what we have in the external area with index and everything. Just take a look at the script tag here. It says that it is loading a script from the source folder, and the script file is main.js. If I go into the source, the entry point or the main region where you need to look into is your main.javascript or your main.typescript file. So this is where you are importing the Vue components and importing some methods, functions from Vue. Currently, we are importing a function called as a create app. If I hover my mouse over, what does it say? It's a constant and create app, and it creates an app function. So basically, this creates an app. This is followed by a dot notation, so which means that it is built. The whole create app itself is kind of this is a fluent design. So there is a design pattern called as a fluent design pattern. Let's check what it says. Fluent design pattern. So what it says, fluent is it's basically a method chaining. Okay, so what happens is when you are going to call create app and then you mount create app, what it returns, it should be returning you an app, and when you mount on top of it, again it returns an app. So you can continuously call like dot mount, dot use, and whatever you do, it again returns you the same create app component. Usually you will be achieving it with the help of returning the same class or the same object. So so in essence, this is a fluent design where you can reuse it again and again. If you on top of it, if you put another use, it will not work here, because mount is the final endpoint. Mount is not returning that one, but if you click here and use, you do something and then press again, you will again have mount. So it's a fluent pattern. Let's not talk about it now. So there we have it. Like main.ts is your entry point. In case you want to install Pinia or another store or some of the core Vue components, you will be doing that in your main.ts or your main JavaScript file. You will import them here, and then you will ensure your Vue application is going to use it. We will come back to this again. Let me create one more component here, new file, and let's say demo.vue. A Vue file usually will contain 3 parts. Now in this video, since we are looking at Vue 3, I will be using composition API. You don't have to be confused with the terms composition API or options API. These are all different methods of achieving the same output. In my opinion, composition API is a little straightforward, and if you are already using C# or other development, you should have some idea about how the object-oriented works. So three things. One is a template. So this is the place where you will put your HTML components, and another is a script. When I press script, the IntelliSense kicked in, and then it immediately added these things. Okay, so let me remove this. And third thing is you have style, and style is scoped. When you say scoped, it is only for this particular component. So let's say, so there are three things. One, a place where you will define your HTML, and then a style. If you in case have some kind of style which is associated only for this template, you will be using style scoped, and then a function for handling the way how it works. So there are the three basic things, but all your function, everything happens only inside one file. So this is the way how the Vue component is structured. Now let's go back to app. What do we have here? We have three: script, template, and style. As we have already seen before, the templates is the place where you have your HTML implementations. So this is the implementation which you are seeing on your screen on the right side. How do I know that app is the one that I need to look into? Why can't I start with there are like hello world and other things? For this purpose, let us go into the main again. As I said before, index in the whole Vue application, index is the base or the topmost, like how do I say, like this is the main entry point. The application itself renders this and opens up in your screen, your browser. Inside this HTML, how are you associating your Vue component? It's through this division with an ID called app, and this is the place where you are going to render your Vue component. And if you go inside your source, you have the main entry point called Main.js. So two entry points. Index.html is the entry point for your application itself. It might differ for your use case. In case you are building it from ground up, you will be using this index. But in case you are going to use VueJS inside your existing application, you already have a website and you want to use it only a small component, then you will be directly importing the script, and you will be defining some ID for some of the component, and you will be mounting there. But in this video, we are only going to look at how we are building it to ground up. So this is the entry and app. Then Main.js will kick in, and then it will create a component, and it will mount on top of an element with the ID app. Now you see here app. So Main.js imports the app.Vue, and then it mounts into the HTML element with the ID app. So which means Main.js knows that we are going to import Vue. But what if you want to directly load something else? Let's see. What I did here now, I pressed Alt, Shift, and down arrow so that the above line is copied below. Let's say I import hello world from here, components slash components, right? We are here, yeah, components slash hello world.vue. Okay, so instead of mounting the app, in case I mount hello world and press save, I should only be seeing the hello world component. So that's the way how it works. You enter into HTML and you specify the region where you want to mount or create your Vue application, and Main.js will take care of the rest. You import the base Vue component, and the base Vue component you mount on top of to a HTML location. So we are not going to look here. I am going to press Control and backslash so that this is commented out, and now we will use the app. So first point here, and second point into your Main.js, and third point into my Vue. So now that I know that Vue is here, we will keep it very simple and straightforward. Let Vue, the app.Vue be my main Vue component, and all the other components, whatever I want to build, let it all be added here. That's what I'm doing here. If I go into the template, what I'm doing here, I have a division element where I have put some, when I say I, it's not actually me, it is the default template I'm used to saying I have put. So anyhow, so this is where this VueJS logo is there, and VueJS logo is there, and then again we have a component which is we have imported from the component. We are displaying it in the bottom. In case I press Control / and comment it out and save, the bottom part is gone because we only have two items now. We have the division where we have an image for Vite and an image for VueJS. So this is the very basic item. Now that we know that hello world is there, we have commented it out. Let us not do anything there. We will come back to the components at a later stage, but currently let us play with this one now. Script is here. What is the script? What does it say? It says like this is the template, blah 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 blah. And what do you mean by SFC? If I'm not wrong, this is the extension, or it is called as a single file component. So with Vue.js, they call this app.vue as a single file component, or an SFC, which contains all three items: style, template, and a script. Okay, let us remove this. It is trying to import hello world, but there is a squiggy line which says that this is declared but not used. Let us comment it out again. In case you know, you don't know, I assume that you already know HTML. In case you don't know HTML, this division element has two values. A link with an image and another link with an image. What does it do? When I click this image with source Vite.svg, it opens up this Vue.js.dev website, let's say. Okay, when I do this, it should open up VueJS. Okay, you want to change that? Let's try to see google.com and bing.com. I know this is very, very elementary. You might feel like why I'm doing this, but when I was doing web development from scratch, I even don't know what this href means. I had no idea how everything works. So in case you know everything about HTML, CSS, and you're only looking into how VueJS works, you can skip some of the parts and move to the later section. But this whole video is for someone who has zero idea about how web programming works. This is to just give an introduction now. So please bear with me. So when I press this one, it will open up Google, and when I press this, it should open up bing.com. Let's try Google, and let's try bing.com. So that's how it works. You press something and you easily attach a ref. Where is the image coming from? Source. It is coming from Vite.svg, and you see there are two things. One image is coming from assets. We are also giving the relative path, like inside this we are saying that there is a folder called asset, and inside the same directory level, wherever we are in App.Vue. In the App.Vue, in the same level, we have a folder called asset, and inside the asset we have something called Vue.svg. Okay, but how come we say that Vite.svg without saying anything? Does that mean that this Vite is present in the same level? No, whatever you put in public becomes your static object, or should I say static resource. You can directly call from anywhere like this. For instance, if I move this Vite into asset, yes, move, it should not work. Let's try. Why? Because it no longer able to find Vite.svg inside the public or the static folder. But in case I need to find it out, then I need to give the absolute or relative location. I say that inside this I have an assets folder, I have Vite, and I press save, then it comes up here. So this is the difference when you are putting some assets inside your source, then that as asset or the resource is accessible only via your absolute or relative path. But if you put something in public, it is a static or a global resource. You can directly call them from anywhere you want. It's more the folder namings are also not important. You can name them whatever you want. You can name them as components. You want to name something as controls. You want to name this as resource. It's totally up to you. There is no restriction there. Let's move the Vite and Vue both to public. Move. And in this case now, if I save, both will be lost. Reason they are now no more present here. Then you can directly call them from your location like this. Save, and it should be there. Perfect. That's fine. And then you have a few more items. So this is our like a basic HTML. You can add a image. You can add a division, and you want one more item. What else? You want a header. H1. You have like 6 headers here. Hello world. Save it. You should see now here, hello world. And if I say, let's do one thing, I will press Alt, Shift and down button. So I copy them again and again. And I press H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, H4, H5, H6. Save. So it's basically the sizes. H1 is this, H2, H3, H4, H5, and you also have paragraph P. Save. Paragraph is here. So basically these are all different ways of displaying the text, and everything by default has their own styling, same like Microsoft Word or any other word processor, where you have different styles or template for the text, and when you change the style of one item, everything gets changed. For instance, I have a H1 component. Now let me go into my style and say there are 3 ways of accessing the elements. I will be very quick, and I will just quickly show how to access them. For instance, I want to directly access an element name. Like I have an element name called div, element called a, element called img, element called p. So whatever that is present inside this one, like these are all HTML defined one. In case you are using XML or XAML, these are all user defined. Like there is no restrictions. You can say like instead of using h1 in XAML, I will create my own object and I will give it my own name. Same applies in XML as well. It's user defined. But in HTML, these are all reserved. Like h1, h2 already has a value, already has a meaning. So let's say here, to access something which is already reserved, I directly type that one within the close bracket. Let's say font size and press control space to see if I'm able to receive something. Let's say font and size. Font size is, what do I say, like okay, first let's start with small, medium, small. Just pay attention to the hello world on the right side. Press save. It became smaller. If I put absolute values directly, like 50 pixels, let's see how it changes. It changes. If I put 150 pixel, did I save it? So the pixels are not getting applied. So let us do one thing, remove the pixels and see what happens. Even this is not applied. So then the only option I have is like to use EM. EM is nothing but for every application there will be a font size in Word, in MS Word terms, it is like the line spacing. We have like 1 times of the line spacing or 1.5 times of the font spacing. So it's basically every font will have a height and size, and you are saying that 2 times of the font. Let's see how much big it becomes now. Or should I not include this? Yeah, okay. So maybe pixel might also work in case I don't have the space. Let's see. Pixel is also working. So there should be no space. Okay. In case I use M, let's say 1.5 M. So 1 M is the size of the actual font. This is the actual font size, and I'm saying that 3 times of the actual font size. So it becomes 3 times bigger than this, something like that. And you have different options. You want to see, press Control and space. You will have all the different properties, methods, so whatever you can access for this. I will say foreground or like color. Okay, color is pink. Let me remove it up. Pink. It changed to pink. Maybe it's not visible. Let's say Indian red. It changed to Indian red. So that's how you can apply. Now what happens wherever you apply this H1 and press save, those will also inherit the properties or the style. That's how it works. When you put something in the scope, this is how it works. It affects only whatever the elements present here. Let's try something. I will go back to my Index.html. Here I will put one more H1 and I will call it as I'm parent, and I save. We saw that it was coming in the left, but you see the difference. The color is not inherited. The reason why, because the value that you have given here is scoped, which means this is applicable only to whatever HTML element present inside this template. Remove the scope and see what happens. See, now this is inherited or taken back to the whole document itself. This is not something that you need. Maybe you are building a component and you make some mistake, like you have different styles. You have the H1 style, you are controlling it from different components, and it messes up everything. You don't need that. You should not do that. Keep it scoped. If you are very sure that the style whatever you are applying should be applied to throughout your document or throughout your application or a website or whatever it is, just take that out from the scope, go to your style.css file and paste it here. Now everything receives it. Now some of the technical terms I use in the video might be confusing because I come from different development background. I develop for mobile applications, desktop applications, and web at the same time. So sometimes I get myself confused with the terminologies that I use for desktop, I use for web, and I get confused with the items. And I also use different languages for my development purposes. I use C#, Python, Java, C++. So most of the times, in case I'm using multiple terms, whichever you feel is related to you, whichever makes sense to you, just take that up. So going back, how do I know that the style.css file is the place where I should place my H1 so that it is applied everywhere? Let's take pale green now and save. Let's go back to HTML. VueJs. What happened here? Let's refresh. Since the style is scoped, The moment I changed something in the style.css, it is not refreshed. So when something happens in the main file, it is not getting refreshed immediately, because there is no other trigger which is telling the application that this component has changed. So in such cases, you need to refresh your app itself. Anyway, in production, you don't have that issue. When the user loads, it will not be a problem. Only in the development, when you want to see that, you will be doing it. Let's try something else again. Violet, maybe save. The save immediately affects everything's affected now, but before it was not affecting. It's very weird, sometimes it works, sometimes I have to refresh, but that's fine now. So coming back to my previous question, how do I know that style.css is the one where I need to put it? It's not because it is present in the src folder, it's because we have already explained that there are two entry points. To the application itself, it is Index.html, and into the Vue itself, it is Main.js. Let's go into Index.html, and you see here, index is the place where you are loading your Main.js. Inside the source, I'm saying that inside the source there is a file called main.ts, and load that script file so that my application adapts that one. So index points to main.ts, and main.ts then loads my CSS file. So in a way, the style.css file is loaded into main.ts, and main.ts is again loaded as a script into this index.html. So I know that style.cs is the place where my all the style should be placed if I'm going to affect the whole application, because this is directly loaded on top of my index.html. So that's the way how I know that I need to put it here. In here, whatever I change, whatever I put, it affects everywhere. For instance, let's say we put h2 and call color is let's take this what is this? Why do they have so many colors with different names? Let's say gold. Save. H2 becomes gold. Okay, so this is the basic idea behind CSS, but CSS is like an iceberg. Whatever you see on screen is very, very limited, and they have so many things you can control. You can create. You can control the whole HTML element. You can create animations. You can make many customizations that cannot be explained in one video. But most of my applications, what I do, I always go to the browser, search for some cool components, and then I just copy their CSS items and modify them according to my needs. Or else you can go ahead with using some of the popularly used CSS items like Bootstrap or Tailwind CSS, whatever you want. But we will see that later as well. We have the main.ts, we have the style.css file, and let's go back into our app.vue. So now that we know how this HTML element is associated with style, if it is scoped, then it is affecting only the elements present inside this template, and if it is in style, it affects all the elements. The good thing about Vue 3 is you can put in previous versions of Vue, you can have only one children inside the template. Like if you put div and another div, it will not work because there are two children. Now it works. Previously it won't work in previous versions of Vue. Now we can have multiple children. That's not a problem now. Let's say I have a div and I have one image. Sources, let's download some image and add them. Let me bring an image. I have added an image into my assets, dragon.png, a small dragon image. What I will do inside my demo component, I will say the sources. Where is my demo? It is present inside component. So I need to go one level up into the folder. If I put it in public, then I can directly call them. So let's see how we can go outside. If I put dot and slash, I have only two items inside the same directory level, which is demo and hello world. If I put two dot. One dot is for same directory level, two dot is for one level above. Plus in the previous level, what do I have? Let's go back here. I have app here, I have Main.js, and apart from that I also have assets folder and components folder. So two level up, one level up. So dot is for same level, two dot is for one level up. One level up, I need assets folder and then dragon.png, and I need to give alt. Alt is for like in case the image is not found, what is the text I need to show. I say dragon and close the tag. That's fine. It's a very straightforward and a simple one. Let us not do anything much. Let's keep it very, very simple. And I don't have a style, I don't have a script, nothing. Virtual script not found, main script language is equal to 2s. Okay, the reason since we have used TypeScript when we are creating it, we need to specify that. If you go into the App.Vue, you see that script, you have the language is TypeScript. If you go into the hello world also, we say the language that I'm going to use inside the script is TypeScript. Usually if you are not using TypeScript, you don't need to set it up, but let it be there. Let us not do anything now, let it be there. And we have now a template which is called the demo view. Going to my app view, and I'm going to say if I need to use this demo, I need to first import that component inside my application. In case you are from a C# or a Java background, this is like importing the namespace, or using the namespace in C# or importing the namespace in Java, something similar. So here we are going to import, but instead we are not importing the namespace itself, we are importing the component itself, the whole component. There are two ways, like that is called as a named export and a normal export. We will look into that in a later stage, but currently let's say you can give any name. You are importing something, and I will give it as JJJ from. You can use single quote, double quote, doesn't make much difference. Components and demo.view. I have imported something from demo.view, and I'm giving it a name called JJJ. And why did I give it as JJJ like that? Does it make sense? No. But I want to show you that it doesn't matter what you name. Unless you are using named exports, you can give any name you want and it will come inside. Now, what is a named export? Do we have named export here? Nope. Here? Nope. Okay, we will look into the named exports at a later stage anyhow, but currently we know that we have placed something inside this demo, and we are importing the demo inside App.Js. So since this JJJ is just to show you that you can name anything you want, but I will now make it a reasonable one. I'm importing demo comp from demo.view. There is nowhere I have specified that whatever I import from it should be named as demo. Now that's not a named export, it's a normal one. So I have it here. Let me go back to my demo view. So you have now set up a separate component and you are importing the component inside another component. So this is the way how we can do it. Now you want to reuse it, press Control space, Alt Shift down arrow in, I'm using Windows 10 now. So now there will be two. Now there will be two. You want to adjust the way how it looks. Go to your demo, and in one place you adjust it, and everywhere it will be affected. Moments ago, while we were discussing about CSS, I said there are three ways how you can access your elements. One is directly calling the element, right? Like image. And then put this one and call it. The other two ways are through ID, through class. So first let me show something. Height is 100 pixel. Height spelling mistake. Height. Save. So height is now 100 pixel for both the elements, both the components where I have imported. The height is now modified. Now, it's okay. I say that image is like I'm directly affecting the image. So in case I have one more image with a different different source, for instance, let's say I use Vue.svg, even that becomes 100. No, I don't need it. I want dragon should be at a different height and this should be at a different height. Then in that case, we have something called ID. You give this is dragon image and I give an ID. Call it as a view image. How do I access my IDs? You can directly access your elements using HTML elements using like directly calling the element name. For anything that is related to ID, you will use a hash. Dragon img and say height is 50 pixel. Save it. What happened? You are already having the image. You are setting the height at 100. Then again you are calling that dragon image and saying the height is 50. Now let me cut this and okay, let us not confuse at present. I will change this ID to class and I will change this ID to class. Save it. It will not work. Yeah, let's refresh. The reason is when you put hash, that is for ID of the elements. For classes, you need to put dot. Only the places where you have dot, that will affect it. So what I'm going to do, for dragon, I have a class, and here I have an ID. For ID, as I said, we need to have hash, and height will be 250 pixel. So I repeat again, to access an ID, you put a hash symbol. For accessing the class, you put dot symbol. And to access the element itself, no symbol, directly call the name and press save. There we go. So 50, 50, 250. I'm going to show something. I have commented out this dragon, but before we proceed, I'm going to open up my browser. I'm using Firefox. I have VueJS Dev tools installed. To do that, you need to go to your extensions, search for add-on. This is the same for both Firefox and Chrome. In Firefox, I could get Vue.js Dev tools. I have installed it. Then I will be seeing it here whenever I'm dealing with any Vue.js website. That will show up for me. You can do the same for Chrome as well. I'm quickly going to add one more element now. What I'm going to show now is I'm going to show how the precedence works. Hello world. Save it and let's run our application. It's already running in a application. Okay, hello world is there. Let's go back to our App.Vue and remove one component. Okay, save it. You should have only one. Now that we know two things, one is we can access the priorities. We know we know the priority of the element, the class, the ID, but we don't know the precedence, order of precedence, which gets the priority. What if I have all three? H2 and then I have a class called text class, and then I have a ID called text ID. Then I give all the values here. Let's do like text CLS not foreground. I'm confusing with WPF. Indian red and font size is 3M. Save. Font size needs to have an hyphen in between. Or maybe 4M. Okay, and I will give a hash. ID is text ID. Then I say color is pale green, and font size is 2M. Save. Okay, and then finally I have hash2 itself, the element itself. And then I copy this. Let's change to 1M, and color is yellow. Now, which takes the utmost precedence? Let me open up a notepad now. Let's do it here itself. The way the order of precedence in CSS, or order of precedence, I'm not sure if the spelling is correct. Order of precedence is 1 HTML element. Is it the order of precedence? No, it's the, let's say, target element gets utmost top priority. Target element how do I increase the size of this view? Zoom in this view. Okay, so control plus equal increases, control plus minus decreases. Let's put control plus equal and increase this one. This whole one is different. It looks, I don't want the left side, I just only want this one. Okay, I found out where it is. So it's present in when we press control equal, it increases the whole application, which is not that we need. So let me press control 0, it resets everything. Or control minus to minimize it. Control equal. For an application this useful, this is stupid. Okay, so I was saying control shift to P, and I have something called zoom, called editor font zoom in now. Do they have shortcut key for this? They don't have a shortcut key. Let's say desired key is control shift 5. Nope. Control shift 5. If I press control shift, two existing commands are just finding. Why do I have control alt 5? No one has shift alt 5. Okay, shift alt 5, or maybe shift alt equal to, no one has it. Okay, shift alt equal to, and shift control P, zoom, editor zoom. Did I miss something? Editor font zoom, for zoom out and reset. Let me check this. For zoom out, I will say shift control minus. Good, but it's not a shift control minus. Okay. Seriously, guys. Zoom in, zoom out is there. For reset, I will set shift alt 0. Someone is already using. Why are you using that? Shift alt shift alt 9. Seriously? Shift alt. Come on. Shift alt backspace. Perfect. Enter. Close it. Now let's try shift alt equal. That's good. So shift alt equal, I'm increasing the size. That's fine. And word wrap also should be there. Word wrap. Okay. But why am I in the screen? I should not be here. Okay, the order of priority is the target element in inline CSS gets top priority, then element ID, then element class, then element tag. I don't know, should I be calling it as tag, HTML element tag, or element identifier maybe? Why do we need to confuse this? HTML identifiers. What is it do? Whatever. Let me select all control backslash so that it becomes commented out. Now let's go up. Okay. So as I have said that we will see from topmost item. So you have H2, you have class, you have ID, but the C when ID is present, it is taking the ID because it is the second most order of precedence. So that's pale green. If I change it to pink and save, it should take pink. And now if this is not present, what will be the next order? It will take the element class. Save. Class is Indian red. If I remove this class and text both, or like, yeah, class and text both, it will fall into yellow size 1, very small. So there we go. And the topmost priority is always inline CSS because you are saying that this element directly has this value. Style, font size is 4M or like 3M, and color is purple. Save. There we go. So this is the order of precedence for CSS. The next step is we have the hello world here. But what if we want to see or give some messages like this? Like instead of the value directly, we need to be able to pass the message or the value from my parent component. To do that, let's go inside the demo part, and in the script part, let's set up. The moment I use the key setup, that becomes sorry. Let's try script. Okay, the moment I use the letter, the key script, it becomes a composition API object, and so we can do one thing. We also need to set up the language, which is TSS. Go here. Okay, what is the what are the things that we can expose from a script? We can expose a couple of things. One, we can expose functions, and you can expose properties to be filled from outside, and you can have internal properties or attributes. Like if you are from Java or C# background, you know that attributes means some property or classes which are accessible. It's like the field which is accessible only within the application. Properties are items which are accessible from external values or external methods. And then you can expose, let's just only focus on these three things. First and foremost thing, for a property value should be filled from outside, you need to define the props. Just take a look at the script. There is no script. The moment I press this, oops. You know what? I thought there is going to be some kind of intelligence or snippets which will directly do this for me. Looks like there is nothing now. So that is all right. So define props. And then I put it inside what is this called? Brackets. Close it out. That's it. Let me save it. And what does it say? It shows some error. It just gives me how I need to save it. Like whenever I'm defining the props, I need to give the property name and then followed by what type of property it is. Let us keep it simple now. Let's say I have a property. Currently I don't, but let's assume that I have a property called message, and this will take up only string. That's it. You need to put it inside a what is this called? Curly braces. Okay, and yes, this is not let's say string. Okay, so what I'm saying, let me save it. What I'm saying here is this particular demo component has a property. It's an exposed property. When I say define props, this is a property which can be accessed from outside the world, outside this component. There is a property called MSG which is accessible from outside, and this is a kind of a string property. That's what I'm saying. So in the moment I go to this app now, when I press something in the message, now this is received. How do I know that this is received? All I can do is I can directly write console. Whenever a component is loaded, everything inside the script will be first run. So which means that whatever you put here, any script that will be loaded when this object itself is created. There are several life cycle hooks like what to do when it is mounted, created, destroyed, whatever you want. But currently, let us just do console.log. I need to log the value message. So like anyhow, I'm entering the value here, but how do I know that the value is received at this point or not? To do that, I cannot directly use MSG because this is an exposed property or an external property like this to be filled from outside. I can call it as for namesake it is an external property or like exposed property, exposed or exported, whatever it is. This property will be filled from outside. To access this property from inside, you will not be directly able to call message. That will not work. Even if you try, it will fail. Let's see here. You don't see that, but if you press F12, you see that message is not defined, which means the message is not accessible. Then how do you access? If you are using old options API, you will be trying for props.msg. Let's save it and refresh. Again, you are not able to read that props because props itself is not defined. So what do you do? In composition API, you need to put it inside a constant and call it as any name you want. Let me call eprop maybe. So I'm defining this as an eprop, and eprop has a message. And if I press save, clean this, refresh, there you go, hello. So if I change the name now, hello to hello lingam, save, updated. So app.Vue is now updated, and obviously the hello lingam also got updated. We are not seeing it here because we are not using it anywhere. That is totally fine. Now eprop.message, we know that this is there. To access this message internally, like the message which is filled from outside, if you need to access it, whether it is an exported property or an internal property, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, there is only one way, not one way, like there is one most favored way and there are other different ways. One is using the mustache symbol. View or like HTML mustache symbol. Yeah, of course. It looks, like I don't know why they gave it a mustache symbol. Two opening braces. It feels so. It feels so chauvinistic, but still, we call it as mustache symbol. And I don't want to use the term mustache symbol. Like, let's call it as double braces throughout the video. So we will use the double braces somewhere here in the hello world. I will use double braces, double curly braces, and put MSG. Now I will close this, save. Not this save, just save in the VS Code. I should be now able to see hello Lingam. So this is mustache symbol, but we will be identifying it as double curly braces, even though it is very long. So the double curly braces with MSG, and go back to here. Hello Lingam, hello world, save. This color is so disturbing me, so go back here and change the inline color. Where is the inline color? Inline color, let's change and remove the inline style. So now it falls into ID. What is the ID color? It's in pink. Let's make the ID color as yellow, and this one as pale green. In size, let's make it 3M. Save. So hello world is there, and if we go back and say hello world 2, whatever the value that I change here will get changed instantly the moment I save it in the code. In production environment, when you are manipulating the values with regards to some API or some user input, you will still see them same like this. Going back to my demo component, so now I have managed to do one thing. I added one property value. What if now let's try and add one more property, and I'll say subtitle and call it as again a string, or let's say age. So we call it as number, and is sleeping, call it as boolean, and one more title, again it's a string. So I expose so many properties now, and all these properties will be available here. For instance, age, it's a number again, so let's say 34. Save. Type string is not assignable to type number, so it's a type of number, so 34. Element is missing, and the tag, where it is missing? In demo component. Why it is missing? Okay, forget about it. Let's just give it like this, and we will handle it later. Go back to this demo, and then I will have a couple of other items, or maybe here itself I can have message followed by space. Here I will just say instead of the message I will say one more tag, Control Shift Alt down arrow, and this one will be my h3. I will say h. This message we will call it as name. Go back to app, and this is no more message, this is name. Go back to demo, and we have named it as name, and name, age is age, and followed by one symbol, followed by sleeping is double curly braces with is sleeping. Save. Age sleeping, the name is no more there, and age sleeping is there. Go back to my here, name is hello world 2, but I'm not seeing the hello world 2. Age is here, the demo is there. Am I missing something? This is h2 and this is h3. Let us remove the classes. Save. Let's keep only the classes and remove the ID. Perfect so far. Save all and close this, refresh. Okay, so let's try to change hello world. Instead of hello world, that's the name, right? I will give my full name. Save. That's my name, but this is not looking nice, so I'll just keep simple. Just say Lingam. There you go, Lingam, and age. Let's start from 30, and it's updated here. 32. Save. 320, I wish. Okay, let's give that a go. Keep it simple. Is sleeping is false? In case I say it's sleeping is true. So sleeping is true. Instead of true or false, I can go back to my demo here. So what we have achieved now, we have exposed some properties. Let's remove title. We're not using it anymore. There are some errors. It shows some errors, like since we are using TypeScript, it says that this is you are passing in a number string, but it should be a number. But in case you are getting this value, now we are directly passing in the value, so it says like this. But if you are passing in the value from the script, you are fetching somewhere, you will directly convert this element to number. This one you will convert it to a boolean, and then you will pass it through. So you can fix that later, but now this is fine. Going back to the demo, so I now know, like putting the double curly braces, I will be able to access it. Does that mean that it is only is this the only possibility? Now, did you notice something? I have given my property as in the camel case. First letter is small, and the second word's first letter is caps. Uppercase, not the lowercase. So it's a lowercase, and this is uppercase. But here it is taken kebab case, which is sleeping, which means that if you give camel case, it will still accept kebab case as well. Let's say if I give camel case as is, that is still valid. If I put false, false. So kebab case, camel case, Vue has this way of converting it. So let's just appreciate it for this purpose. And going back, you can not only put the property in your curly braces, double curly braces, you can also give a method directly. For instance, you might have known from C#, I believe it is called as null coacerator. Null coacerator, I don't know the spelling that is given. Coalescing operator in C#. It's null coalescing. No, not this one. No. This is for checking if a value is null or not. Then I believe it is called conditional ternary operation. Yeah. So conditional ternary operation is a question mark, and followed by that, if the condition is true, you give something, and colon, you give something else. This is same in Python, Java, C#, everywhere. Since we are dealing with web, we will go for JavaScript. This is something like this. You give a condition, then you give the specific value, if true, if false. Conditional ternary operation. So if it is if it's sleeping, just say yes. If not sleeping, say nope. Now false means nope, because it's sleeping is false. Save. Yes. Is sleeping? Yes. Did I give sleep? I'm always sleeping. That's okay. Is sleeping is false. Even though I have given false. Let's say true and see what happens. Something is wrong. Let's go back to the demo. And sleeping is false. Boolean, right? This is Boolean. Okay. Because even though this is Boolean, we are giving some value there, which is where is my App.Vue? It is considering it as any value is present, so it is considering it. In case I remove it, it will be false. No. So I put any value inside, not only true. I put any value inside, that is considered as true. That's the reason why we need the value to be assigned. Anyhow, that's okay. I will come back to this later. Let me put sleeping is false. Even though this is false, my TypeScript says that this is a string, so this is not defined. So what obviously happens is it takes that one. That's okay, totally fine. Button, and see how it looks. Save. Okay, a small button is seen here. You might be wondering like how it took the color and how the hover everything worked, because it's coming from this style.css, the default one. In case you want to modify something, you want to modify the border radius, color, whatever it is, the background color, I don't need this, let's say green, blue, and save it. I will be seeing that change here. So it's up to you. And let's go. Let's change this up and go back to my demo component button, and I will say button will be called what do you say, increase each, save. And foreground, I don't like this color itself, so save all and go back to my style, and button, let it be the previous value whatever it was before, some dark color, save. It was much better in the beginning. I messed it up. Something like this is fine. Okay, whatever. Let's go back to the demo, and we have the button, and this will have a lot of other functions as well, right? Like this will have a click method, on click method. You can bind it to on click. You can, if this is directly coming from there, and you can bind v on v, this colon with on click. Everything has the same meaning. Like you can create a function here. What should happen when you press the button? I'm defining a function. This is same like creating a method in any other programming general purpose language like C# or Java. Function, and I'm going to call increase age, and I will call it here something, and at present I will just say console.log we are here. Save it and go back to this. What happened? Unexpected token. Okay, where is this unexpected token that happened? The function should be with two open and close brackets. Increase age, click, a click, increase the age. So which means, come on, a click, increase the age. So a click, call this method increase age. Let's keep it simple like that. Delete everything, press increase age. We are here. You see, like there are 6 times this button is pressed. That's why it is increasing to 8 now. It's increasing to 8 now, 10 times. So which means that this is working. We are now able to change our value. What if we need to change this age itself? Shall we try? Age is equal to age plus 1. Will it work? Currently we know for a fact that this age cannot be accessed directly like this. You need to access from here. Let's just try age dot value is equal to ep dot age dot value plus 1. It's showing so many errors at present. That is okay. We are only seeing whether we are able to access it or not. Save it. We are here and we are facing so many errors. Can't assign the property value on 35, not an object. I'm going to just keep the age there, and instead of increase age we will say increase salary, and we will come back to the other one later, increase salary, and we will have one more tag here, and this one, let's say salary is dollar salary, whatever we are going to give now, and take the salary. Instead of exposing from outside, I'm going to keep it here. Insert salary is equal to 4,500. Let's just assume like this, and salary is equal to salary plus 1. Just see, This will not work on anyhow because salary is a constant. So let salary currently let it be salary, not instant, not a constant. Increase salary, invalid prop check. We are not here. We are here. Yeah. Once we have done that, we need to show this salary. We need to log what? Salary. What is the first salary and what is increased? Something like this. Save, delete everything, increase salary. It was 4,500, of course, the JavaScript kicking in. Let's remove the brackets here, so it's a number. Oh, very good. The reason is it is considering this 4,500 as string, and this is a string, and that's the reason why when we press that, it was giving me what do we say? Before it was concatenating them. The easiest way would be to put a plus symbol in front of whatever you consider as a number, and add it with another one. So now when we do this, refresh, it's saying there is some error. What is the error? Forget about it. Okay, now it is increasing. Each time I press, it is increasing to 1,000. 1,000 is getting increased. So it is writing the first one, which is, we call it as current. And here increase to, okay, let's check now. Did we save it, refresh? We don't need to refresh at all, but still I would like to refresh. Current is 4,500, increased it to 5,500. Now it is increasing. Okay, so we know that this method works. But now this is not the only way that it will work. We can also have remove and say V on click. So instead of that at symbol, we are using V on click. So it gives the same value. You could see that it is changing from 13,500, 14,500. Each time I change, the value is getting changed. But what happens to the salary element itself? It is not getting updated. Only the value is getting changed, but this binding is not working. So it was working in the first instance. If you see, when we changed to something, it was able to modify it. Like, it's not accepting at present. So what do? We need to somehow make this salary reactive, which means that this becomes a reactive element, or this should be trackable, or you can think of whatever term you want, but somehow when the change happens here, the element should be able to catch that. To do that, we now go into the next one called as import. There is a keyword called ref in composition API, but I will directly type ref and press tab. So I got this ref from Vue reactivity. I don't know if it should come from Vue reactivity or directly from Vue. I will keep it at Vue. What I do, I'm just going to wrap my initial value with ref. That's it. I don't do anything else. But when I do something like this, I cannot have let, I have const. Okay. We already know that when we change the value here, we're receiving it, but increase, it's giving me current object, and of course it is called multiple times, probably 3 times, but still we are not seeing the value. That's because once you define it as a const with ref, which means that you are referring to an object itself, and this object has a value. Don't put plus here, then you are trying to join this object with this object, and it is not able to identify. Just put a comma. So you are anyhow, the log is it is a spread operator, which means that whatever you give, everything will be like first is a string, and let's say you give 55, and then again you give false. Whatever you give with a comma, it's a spread operator. Everything, all the array object will be log, something like this. If I save this page, refresh and press this, you could see that 55 false. So we need something like this. Instead of that, if I save salary now and see this, this should give me, I need to refresh the page. The object itself. So salary has now become an object, which is kind of a V object, something. It is being referenced or tracked by Vue JS. So to get the value, all you need to do is just type Vue.value. That's it. There you go. Okay, so your increased salary is now here 8,600. Now, what we need to increase the value. Earlier we were doing something like this. Now it will not work because salary is a constant, and you will not be able to change the constant once it is assigned. So the only option, as we already know, is instead of setting the constant, we set the value directly, and not like this. We will get let's say salary. There are two ways how we can do this, but I will just directly use salary.value plus let's say for every click I get 1,000 increment, and again we copy this and paste it below and say updated salary value, save this, plus increment. For some reason my function changes are not reflected here. Let us refresh the screen. Okay, but did you notice something? Not only here, even your HTML element value is also getting updated. So this is the reactivity. Earlier, when we are having the let value, like let salary something, the changes are only tracked here, but it is not updated in the UI. But now the moment you start using the ref keyword, whenever you change something, it is also updated, or like using the reactivity, or how VueJs does it internally, it will update it. So that's, there we go. So this is about the ref keyword itself. You can do this. And now speaking of this functions, you don't even need a function to do something simple like this. You can even copy this, and I'm just showing you how it could be done. Just paste it here inside brackets. Sorry, inside double curly braces. You paste it here, and you don't need salary here. Save. It still works, but here it is not updated. Refresh the screen. It still works, but here you will not see, because the click is now not calling this function, this increase salary function, but instead directly you are updating the value. The thing is, when you are directly calling this property from the HTML element, you don't need to give dot value, because you are calling the value directly. But when you are doing it from your function or in the script, you need to call it via the value. So let's go back to what it was before. Increase salary, but this time not inside a double curly braces. I will just keep it like this. There we go. And refresh the screen, and we are good to go now. Dynamically loaded module, there is an error, that's okay. Okay, so this one. So this is how we can get value from external object like this. Put some value, save it, and it gets updated. I changed it to 38, and 38 is updated. And if I go into demo, then the function to change the value, track and change the value internally using the ref keyword. This is all with the composition API, and for options API, you will have different ways using the data, export data, methods, and unmounted. And currently, we are not going to look into that. Then we have one more thing, which is the lifecycle itself. What is a lifecycle? If I am to look into lifecycle hooks view 3, it should give me here. No, not this. Is this the one? They have a map. You can get from anywhere you want. I will prefer going to the what is this one? The official page. They have a nice chart here. So what happens is whenever an application is set up, before create you have a method, and whatever you want to do before create you can do that, and after create, then before mounting is basically when the application is going to be loaded into a DOM element. DOM element is nothing but I don't know full form of DOM, document object something, but this is the HTML node, and after it is mounted, and before unmount and before after unmount. Basically, after once it is mounted, then we don't have access to all these things. You have like before update, after update. Shall we see? We will create all, and then we will see how it works. Quickly for the lifecycle. And now again, we are in composition API. For the lifecycles, you need to import the lifecycle methods from Vue. If you directly try to do it, it will show up here, but it will not work. I will show an example of unmounted. Unmounted is fine. What should I do unmounted? You see, it is immediately called from inside. If you don't have the keyword, it will obviously throw error. And this is the same like our defined props. So you need to call that, and within the this is curly braces, right? Within the brackets, you need to define the function, whatever you want to define, like what should happen during the mount or update. Same concept. So here, I will call this one. Just to, so whatever is inside the curly braces will be, what does it say? Cannot find name unmounted. So of course, so unmounted. Now there it is, and it has another error. What does it say? Okay. So it is not expecting curly braces. It is expecting a function. We can do it in two ways. We can either call a method and say handle mount, and just give this handle mount here. This is one way. Like you can use a method, and in case you have a particular function which is should be called during runtime for different ways, like for unmounted, for uncreated, for everything you want something, you can call it like this, or you can directly use the lambda functions. Okay, it is called as lambda in C#, and here it is called as arrow function. You can use arrow function. Let's just keep it simple now. Console.log I'm mounted. Let's just save it, and I will just copy this here, because anyhow, come on, I should have copied it. I am mounted to. Okay, what happens now? I am saving it. We saw this. What is that? Chart, right? Flow chart from Vue.js website. Let's see. It's not here. Let me open up again separately. Lifecycle hooks. There we go. So what does it say? Mount is before the object itself is mounted onto your before mount or on mounted, like before mount or after mounted is basically before it is rendered. So if we have on mounted, we also have before mount. I will just say I'm about to be mounted. Why does it say not? Because before mount is not present. Okay, now I have called in before mount. What does it say? Vue has no exporter named called before mount. Okay, let's open up our LifeCycle hook. Before mount is there, and before create is also there. Let's put oh, we should be calling something like this. Okay, because it doesn't have a function which takes no arguments. It has a function, but this function was not like that. Let's forget about it and see what happens. Indirect exporter before mount connector. Okay, so maybe it is not there. Before mount was in options API, so let's see what is there. Mount. Like on mounted, we have on before mount. It's a hook. Okay. So on mounted, on before mount. Okay, let's save it. Delete everything. Refresh our screen. Okay, could not establish connection. Let's clear again. Refresh the page. I'm about to be mounted first because it is called first. I'm about to be mounted, and then after that we are mounted. So we now know that this is a LifeCycle hook on before mount and mounted. What about create and creator? We can still have the same concept. On create. I don't know. Let's go here. Create or like on before update is there, before is there, on updater, mounted. Okay, so we don't have it seems, but we have some other items. We have activate, deactivate, error captured, updated. Let's go for updated. On updated, on before updated. Okay, let's see. Let's copy the same and do whatever we want. On updated, on before updated. I'm updated. Updated. So let's save this and delete. Refresh. First, we are mounted. We say like I'm about to be mounted and I'm mounted. So mount and unmount happens when we are switching the page. Like when we change the page, the object itself is unmounted. And you again change the page, it is mounted. So let's see, increase salary, it is going to update. So what happened here? When I press increase salary, it went to this function and then it executed everything. If you could see that after this execute is happened and this left the function, then Vue.js kicked in and then it was about to update this salary. Then it realized that we already have a hook for to. So before update, it is saying, hey, I'm about to be updated, and after updated, it says I am updated. So this is the way how the LifeCycle hook works. If you want to show something before update, you show this. If you don't want to do that, you can change it. Can we play something here more? I will just take this one. And before I'm going to update this, this is not an ideal scenario, but what I will do, I'm about to be updated for salary dot value, and what I'm going to say, I don't want this, like instead of 1000 I will say minus. So what happens is whatever we do, it will increase there and we are going to decrease it here. Shall we try now? Increase salary. Okay, so for some weird reasons, my save is not accepting. So just refresh it here. So press. See here. I am about to be updated to 9,600. But the moment I update it, it still remains the same. What happened? At this point, I'm reducing it again. So you can have the before update, after update, whatever you want, and you can change them again. The before mount, on mount, all those values could be modified. Did you notice something? Let me go back here and put something here and say minus 500. So each time when the value is trying to be updated, as a penalty, I am going to be reducing the 500. I will reduce whatever they tried and then I will reduce it something. Let's see one thing. Okay. Increase salary. Now what happened? Maximum recursive update statement exceeded in a component. Why is that? Because you are trying to do something. You are changing the salary inside this function, and before your update, you are again modifying the salary. That is all totally fine. But after you are updated, you are again trying to change the value, which means that it will again trigger this on before update, and again trigger this. We are trying to enter into a recursive or an infinite loop. So what happened? You see here. So first we try to change to you see the value down here. We try to change add 1000 to 8600. We are about to update to 9600, and then what happened? We kicked in here to on before update. We changed the value, and then we went to on update. We reduced the value. The moment we reduce it, this is happening after the render, so which means that it will again render, and then again it was reducing, and then it went back. So after some time, the stack overflow happened and it is lost. But if I remove it here, when the before update is triggered, whatever value you change is not going to re-trigger or put you into a infinite loop. Let's see this one. You see, maybe we can give penalty here, 500. Save this, refresh. Increase salary. Each time I try to increase salary, I'm going to reduce 500 penalty. So I'm trying to put 11,000. But what do I get? Okay, maybe I need to put minus 1500. Whatever the value that comes in, like 8600, I'm trying to add 1000 to 9600. So I will reduce it to keep it simple. We'll change this to 8500. So it will look nice. I try to add 1000 to 9500. What will happen? I reduce the amount to 1500. So it gets reduced. So it's quite straightforward. But this change is not going to trigger because you are already about to update it. So whatever change you do is not going to affect. But when you change something after the update or after the render happen, it will again trigger it again and again. So that's the base idea there. So that's it. We now know about how we can expose properties using defined props, and we know how to use the ref keyword, and when you change the values or when you do something like this, how the ref is then going to affect or update automatically. And we also know a little bit about the lifecycle hooks. We were looking into Vue.js composition API so far, and now we will move into Vue.js router. In the beginning, I explained something about Vite. So all these Vite and other JavaScript frameworks are constantly evolving. So the best way, as I explained in the beginning of this course, is to always look into the official documentation to see how we to get started, because they might be changing something. So the same applies not only for Vite, it applies for VueJS or for a router or Pinia, whatever it is. Always go to the default or official documentation to see how to get started. This is a trick that I always use for instead of watching 1,000 videos, I always go to the default official documentation, and from there I move into the videos to understand something. This applies not only for Vue.js, for all any new programming that language that you wish to learn. Now we are discussing about Vue-Router. To change the pages, go to Vue-Router and go to get started. So to install, you need Vue-Router at 4. Cool. This is the basic thing, and let's kill this. What is this called? Terminal, and let's close this application. NPM install Vue-Router 4. So this is the first time since the beginning of this video we are adding a new component, a new library. Before that we were only installing the default ones. If you go to the package.json now, you will be able to see along with the Vue, now you have Vue-Router. So Vue-Router is what? The one that we installed now. This expects any Vue-Router version 4.1.6 and above. So anything you install again, like Pinia stores or some 3JS libraries, whatever it is, everything is going to be added into the dependencies here. Next time when you are saving it into your Git repository or something, do remember to add a git ignore option. Okay, the git ignore by default is already there. Okay, so since the git ignore ignores the node modules, in case any of this course or this demo will be present in the GitHub, you can get the source code from the description of this video. All you need to do is just open up, run npm install, and then run npm run dev, and you should be able to get this up and running, and you can play with it. Now that we have installed router, how does a router work? So let's see if they have some kind of explanation for this. Okay, so this whole course is just to get a basic idea, not an in-depth video. So let's see whether they have something. Okay, I don't want to do this now. What I will do, I will directly go ahead. There is one thing called as use router. First and foremost thing. First, let's see in there one. Getting started. We have most important thing is router link and a router view. Those are the two things. Even you don't need a router link, the important thing that you need is a router view, and you need to add this JavaScript method or JavaScript file. You need to create a file to handle your routes. So let's do this. That's what we are going to learn in this section. I will go inside. First thing, let's close everything here. Okay, let's come back to this page. This is because we are using TypeScript, and that's the reason why we have this type checking. Let me create a component called a route. Sorry, not a component, file. Routes.TypeScript. Okay, so this is the only file which is going to handle all our routes. Now we have already known that index loads main.js script. So whatever you put in your main.js will again be loaded into your application. So go to main.js, and along with importing the view, you now going to import routes from the same location, right? Routes.ts. This is present in same location. Routes. What does it say? It's declared, but its value is never used. Of course, I'm going to use it. So use routes. So I'm just saying that, hey, Vue, when you're creating the application and before you mount it, please use this routes. And routes is a TS. Let it be there. Is it fine now? Import path cannot end with TS extension. Consider importing JavaScript. Okay, why not? Okay, so now that we have our empty router page, this is quite straightforward and quite simple when we are dealing with routes. What we need to do is we need to create a router. That's the whole purpose of this. Create a router and export it. That's the whole purpose of this external file. How do we create a router? We need a method which is already a part of Vue-Router. So we added this, right? Like here, we added the Vue-Router. So Vue-Router is there. Go back to our routes and let's say import a method. I'm not going to see what method now. Like import a method from Vue-Router. And what is the method? Let me press control and then space. It will show me all the properties, enums and everything there. If I go down, okay, so see here, whatever with the cube sign, that means these are all some of the methods. So I need one thing, which is the create router method, because I already know this is the method which creates, and even the name is also straightforward. Let's not do anything. Let's just create something and call as router and create router and close this method. Export this method router. You cannot export directly, you need to default. Yeah, declaration expected, default. Export a router from here and go to your main application. You are importing router from these routes and you are using. So you are saying that, hey, I have a file called routes.js and it is exporting a named export called router. And just because we are exporting it as a router, you need to have the name. So you're exporting it as router and use it. Everything is fine. Now let us run npm run dev to see whether we are able to work on this or not. Press F2. There is an error which says that in the Vue-Router.Js, options is undefined. So we have not yet defined the options. Even though we have told the Vue-Router to create a router, it doesn't know what it needs to do because it has a couple of options. We need to provide those options. To understand what are those options, I always do one thing. If in case I'm dealing with anything related to Vue or React.js or whatever it is, just go to the definitions and see. Definition, what does it do? It will open up the source code and show what is there. Go to the definitions, and this is expecting something called router options, and go to the router options. And the easiest way is you could see like pressing F2. Okay, just select it, and here it is not exporting, it is actually extending. So which means that let's do word wrap. It is extending, and it is extending something called path parser, so everything will be here. It is expecting a history, it is expecting a route. What does it say? You see they already have an example. You can call the history and you can give the route. For example, a route should be blah 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 something. But anyhow, so history is nothing but web history. So when you press this forward back button, it will move that. So for this, they already have a method called create web history. That's totally fine. For routes itself, they are providing an array of route record. What is the route record? Press F12 there and go here. Route record is exporting different items. This is like order. You can use route record single view, children, multiple view. You can do anything you want. Let's take multiple view for example. So you are exporting again. It is extending the router record base. So which means that router record base will have all the properties that we need. So you need to give a path, something like backslash and whatever is the path. And you need to give redirect. Okay, you see that there is a question mark, which means you can or cannot do that. Like it is up to you, it's optional. But this path is mandatory. Name is also not mandatory. Okay, only the path is mandatory here, nothing else is mandatory. Okay, so this is how you go inside and look into it. The other way is when you start writing, intelligence will kick in and show everything. So let's do this. First and foremost, history. We already saw something called create history. Let's go here, import that method, create web history, something create web history, because this was mandatory. That's the reason why we are using it. How do I know it is mandatory? Go to F12, go to the options. It does not have a question mark, which means it is mandatory. Routes is mandatory. What will happen if we do not put, like, the scroll behavior, parse query? Those are all like with question mark, so it are not mandatory and they are optional. What will happen if we don't give a mandatory value? Let's try to save this and see the error here. Save this. See, route is undefined because route is mandatory. A mandatory one should be present. Routes. Routes, what was it? It was an array. We already saw that. So we open up an array and it was having some kind of something called as a route record base, which had path is the only mandatory value. So let's go to routes and say path, and let's keep it very simple like this. Why the path has an error? Okay, so array should have object isn't like this, a dynamic object. Save it. Do we have any other error? No error. That's cool. So we managed to build our router, but we are not using the router anywhere. So this is fine. What if we want to use one more router? So we do the same here and say path is, instead of backslash, we say backslash demo, and that's it. Let's see. Refresh. Perfect. Now go to your Main.js. We are using the router. We are importing the router, and we are using the router. So it's from Route.Js. Okay. So now that we have created the router and we have created the part, will it work if I put like this? Demo. No, it's not working. Why? Because even though I have put the route and even though I have put different routes and we have created a web history, we are not yet consuming it. How do we consume a router? To consume a router, you need to use something called as a router view. So basically, instead of the App.Js, or like here in the App.Js, we have this global icons here. And where is this getting saved? It is getting saved in a place called Index.html. So instead of mounting directly there, you need to mount the router view. Then router view will kick in and do everything that you need. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something here. Instead of this division, I will just say router view. Just save. We have so many errors. What is the first error that we have? Just remove the demo first and press this. File Index.html is not able to parse. Let's maximize it to see. Unable to parse invalid character of tag name file Index.html, line 11 and column 8. It is not able to, because we have to. Perfect. Okay, so even though you gave a router view, it is still mounting, because the app view is not mounting onto the router view. It is directly mounting onto where you are mounting onto the app itself. So in the app view, let us make it, let us create one more component, or just cut them all out. Okay, save it. So they should be gone. Move it back to template here. Save it. Okay, so everything is now a part of Hello World. We have two components, Hello World component and demo component. In the app view, instead of calling the demo like this, just close this one and in the template just say router view, save. And the demo component, let us remove it, we are not using it anymore. What happened here? Everything is fine, but the router doesn't know what to show. No match found for location with slash backslash. So let's say demo, no match found for location with path backslash demo. So what does it say? Location is there, of course. Obviously, when we go to this Main.js router, we have the location, but what have we done now? Did we specify any path? The path is there, but did we specify any component? Did we specify any child? Did we specify any name? Nothing is there. So let's give a name. Name is not mandatory. Let's just say like home, and here let us just say demo page. And we will add one more. Now it is getting clumsy. We are adding it again and again. So let us take them out. Constant route, route is equal to, again, cut them all out, paste it here, and routes is equal to routes. So now it's okay. It's little organized now. Create router and export router. Now these are my routes. I don't know whether you call it as route or router. You know, I'm calling it as route. Component. We need a component. What is a component? Whether it is an hello world or demo component. Where do I get it? I need to import them first. So along with this import hello world from components hello world .vue, and import demo from components demo.vue. Okay, now I'm importing hello world, and I'm also importing them. So here I can easily say that it says that component is not defined. Of course it is not defined. I have not defined it. Home will be hello world, and here component is dem. Cool, save. Now we have, whenever the backslash is there, we are going to hello world, and whenever the backslash demo is there, we are going to demo. That's what we are telling our application to do. But what it does instead, whenever there is a backslash, okay, now this is working fine. Why? Because whenever there is a backslash, what is it saying? Required prop at hello world mounted. So the prop message is required. At present, let us keep this simple. We need to spend a message. So there are different ways to handle this. Like there are more than one ways to handle this, because hello world is exporting a property or defining a property called message, and it is also consuming it here in the double curly braces inside the h1. So it is expecting some above the count one. So what we do currently, just for this demo purpose, I will show a different way, but in another video we'll look into it in depth, how we can maintain different how do we say dynamic values. So currently, along with the component, it is expecting some property, right? We know what is the property. Even though it is not shown in the IntelliSense, I know that it is a property called MSG. I will go back to my route and say there is a property called MSG. It is expected. I am saying give it hello world 3. Press save. Hello world 3. So this is how you pass a property to an imported component. But there are other ways to dynamically import as well, but we will not focus on it now at present. We'll just keep it simple. So path is there, and the moment I press demo, I go into my demo page. So how? Because / demo gives me the demo page with component dem, and that gives even this everything will work. Minus will work. And if I go directly to this, now I want you to know something. It again went back to 8500. So whenever the application is mounted, it is reading the values again. Let's go back to our demo app. What's happening is whenever I change the value here from the URL, it is refreshing the page. It is not a single page. Of course, it is a single page component, but it is refreshing the page again. I don't need this to happen. I need to have some kind of a navigation buttons. When I press those buttons, I need to change the page, but without changing the refreshing the view or refreshing the page. I'm going to app. Above the router view, I'm going to add one more div, and let's say save this. Nothing should be seen because we are not doing anything here now. In the app view div, and let's give first let us see href, which gives me to google.com, and let's see if it works. Google, just see if where we are getting this Google. So it's coming up on the top. I need something. I need this to be. I'm going to do an inline style, and I'm going to say the position is absolute. Position is absolute. Absolute means it is not binded to anywhere, so it should be now hanging around. What happened? White space, of course, white space. It's hanging around now. It's not there. It is absolute, and it has a top margin of 0 so it always goes to the top. And it's not only that, it will also have a left margin of let's say 1 on the top and 1 on the left. So it will be there like that. Okay, if I add one more, am I seeing it one by one or in the flex? Okay, that's perfect. So now I have 3. I have 3, and when I press 1, I'm going to okay. Oh, what happens is when I press this, since it is taking only relative, not the absolute value, that's fine. Let's give like this. Let's give the protocol as well and say, no, this is not relative, my brother. This is absolute. Okay, save it. Refresh. So now this is not relative, this is absolute. But the last one is still relative. When I press that, it says that it tries to go to the page google.com and it's not able to find anything. That's totally fine. So when I press this and say home, and I give it a name called demo, and let's say backslash, and let's say backslash. But should I need a backslash itself? Let's say, let's see how it goes. HTTPS refresh home demo, home demo. Cool. Home demo. Okay. Increase salary, home demo, increase salary. Now again, what it does the same thing. You could see that my page is getting refreshed. Each time I change, my page is completely refresh. I don't need this one. I will do something instead of giving an aref. Now I am going to use something called as router link. So let it be here. Let us just comment it out and have something called router link, and we have to backslash and give a name home. And let's just do it again one more time and say demo and give a name demo. Save this. Home demo, home demo. Increase salary, home demo, home demo. Did you notice the top? This is not loading the page itself. What it does, it is only it is not loading the page, but instead it is changing the view alone, like the page alone, the component alone is switched, but not the page itself is created again. How do we know that? I'm not going more technical anymore, like this is an introductory video. So the EA means that we are giving a link to the browser. We are telling the browser to change it, but using the router link, I'm just simply changing it. The page itself is not getting loaded. So if you have some heavy dependencies, it will not be affected. Maybe you want to wrap it around something like this. I have a div, and inside this I have a div, and this router view is no longer working. We know that because we are mounting it here, and I have put one more div and say h1 and call it as welcome. Let's learn Vue.Js and put style background color is white or Gainsborough, save, something like this. And here style color is gray. Perfect. And now this div should not be here. It should be this main div itself should be having should be on top, somewhere above everything. And then we should have our ID here, because we are controlling the body from somewhere in the CSS. Go to the body where we are saying it is a display flex, minimum width, maximum width, place item center. Okay, go back to our index and say cut this out, keep it on top, cut this out, keep it here, save. Now it is one by one because it is a flex. That's the reason why we have them one by one. Go to the CSS, remove the flex. Now this is no longer a flex, so it will now come one by one. And go back to my app index. This is no longer a flex, but still my position is going to be absolute, and I will have the same concept as before. It will go to the top, and I will have a width of 100%, so that my this one goes to the right always. And then Gainsborough is not looking nice. Let's give okay, Gainsborough is nice, but this color of gray is not nice. Let's give black save. Okay, and let's fix the height at 4M. Let's see how it looks. Nope, it doesn't look good. Height is fixed, but this content itself is not fixed. So the content is rolling out here now. And but why am I playing with all these things? I don't know. Let's say this color is fine, and let's give again font size of 30 pixels. Okay, and then this one will be floating, and position is, sorry, float right, float on the right side, so it will go to the right side. Let's learn Vue 3.js, and this one is fine. Let's go back to our application now. And where is it? 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 App.Vue. So here now you have the link. Why did I do this? I remembered why I did this. Sometimes I lose track of what I'm doing. Now let's refresh. We'll have hello, home, demo. We have so many other things. Now what happens here when I press demo? Just see what happens. The whole page is loaded. Even this let's view is loaded. The whole page is refreshed. You could see that for a split second, this is getting loaded and then it is getting applied. Now if I change this to like this and press this one, save, refresh first. Let's load one more refresh. Okay, now when I change to demo, you could see that only the component which is inside is getting rendered or like moved to one item to another, not the other way around, not the whole page is not getting loaded. That's the main idea behind using the router link instead of A means that you are instructing the address bar to change it and ask the browser to reload it, but router link means that you are just telling the component view to change the link page from one page to another. Anyhow, that's all fine. You can assign it in any ways. What if you give something that is not present? When something is not present, it will just say that it is not present. That's it. Quite simple. But we need to show to the user that hey, no, this is not present yet. So to do that, go to your routes. Now this one just bear with me because it might look a little confusing now. We are going to use something called as path matching. Why do I use it and where do I use it? First thing, this is an inbuilt or default of VueJS way. So I just say that I have a path called anything. So let's say path match. I believe I'm not able to find it, but obviously it is path match. So how do I know that? Because I have already seen it in Google. Okay, so what I'm saying is that whatever is after the backslash, so it's basically a regular expression, whatever matches anything, then this is what do we say? Not found. Not found. And component, you need to give a component called, you need a component to display. So currently we don't need to export or import a component. We are going to keep it very simple. I'm going to create a component called not found component, which will be an inline JavaScript or like Vue component, inline component. How do I do that? Not found comp is equal to whatever you will put inside. So whatever you will put inside, you just put it inside a curly braces and just define it there. So whatever you have like template, you have script, you have style, you have so many other things, but we are not going to focus on all those things. We're just going to say very simple. We have like template, okay, and the template will be so an UI template. So what is the template do? And let's say do. Why is it not working? Am I doing some mistake? What does it say first? It says that undetermined string literal. It's not a string literal. We are trying to do it in Vue. Probably. Let's say home It's not able to identify the space. So not pity. Let's just have h2 just say that in reality, in production, what you would usually do, what I usually do is I will go here, not found templates CSS. I'll just try to download like thousands of templates. Not found page not found template, page not found template CSS. There are several templates available. I will just take whatever I find is interesting, and I will just open the code and copy the HTML, copy the CSS. I always try to stick to keeping something very simple. No JavaScript, only the CSS and only the values here. But currently, let us not go that way. We will keep it like this. I'm just saying that page not found, straightforward, page not found. And not found component, whenever the page is not found, display the not found component. Save this. It has another error. Component template option, but runtime is not supported in this build of Vue. Configure your bundler to alias Vue to okay, in this build it is not able to accept the template. Only when you are using directly from JavaScript you are able to do this. Perfect. No one wants you to be a straightforward guy. So let's create new file and say not found, page not found, page not found. And we were looking into this template, right? Like Vue. I showed for some reason I remember there is a snippet. So this is an extension. So let's go to the extension. Vue snippets maybe. Sarah does not. This one. This has we already have it. Then why am I not able to see it? Do they have some examples how to do it? Totally forgot. VBase, V class. So they have something called VBase 3 setup. Okay, let's use it. VBase 3 setup. So where is the file that we created? It's there in not page not found. And Control V, VBase. Very weird. It's not okay. Anyhow, is it because I did not give it a name? Okay, I did not give it because I did not give it a Vue name. I just gave it a path. So Vue. Let's try now VBase 3. Okay, press tab. I got language, scoped, and setup, blah blah blah. See, this is the difference. In our demo, we saw like in the script we are directly calling the setup. But there is one more way, which is to export and set up. Here you need to return when you are having a constant, when you are having a property method, whatever it is, you need to export it. To avoid all those issues, you directly remove like this. That's it. So it will remove everything. We can directly have it there. Lang is equal to TS. Okay. We're not going to do with script and state as of now, but here, let's say h2 page not found. This is fine. This is coming from page not found view, and go back to my route, and just like this, I'm going to call page not found. This is called page not found, and the imported PNF. There is a problem. We are not able to find something, so imported PNF is this, and template is removed. Save. So it should now show me page not found, and for some weird reason it is going up. Maybe not for some weird reason, maybe the way how we have set it up. Go back here, and this div is here, this div is here, and Let's put them both inside one div. Save. And I will do one thing. Instead of absolute, I will say sticky. Save it. Cool. Control V. So the page not found here. When I go to home, I am having home. When I go to demo, I have demo, home, demo, and we will have one more link now, which will say this is completely, which will redirect us to completely unavailable value. And this is happening. Where is this happening? This is happening in app. So another link with some arbitrary value and say dummy, and let's put some space. You should not be doing like this. You should be adding some CSS to handle it, but that's okay. When you try dummy, the page is not found, because if you could see in the top, this page is not found. Demo is found, home is found, but dummy is not found. Very straightforward, right? So that's the way how you route it. Inside your app, you load your router view and provide some different links somewhere. This is not the only way. You can think of creating another component, maybe a separate component called as a sidebar component or navigation bar component itself. Create a new view component called navigation bar, design it very nicely, and then load that component here. So one component as a sidebar component, and then you have the router component. When you press that, you directly ask your VueJs to change the route. So that's it. We have now seen some of the basic introductions into Vue.js, how we can deal with router. The thing is, this is not the complete one. Like we have so many things still pending. You can have rendering based on a list. You have the for each rendering. You have the two-way binding. You have fetching the element itself using the template ref, and much more are there. But this video was only to give a basic introduction about how Vue.js component API, composition APIs. I will prepare or see you all in another video, a detailed one, where we will try to build everything from scratch. So thank you for watching so far. I hope you got at least some basic idea about Vue 3. Thank you.